Oh, it's going to be one of those days. Okay. Knew I'd forgotten to hit a button somewhere. Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show, Soccer Down Here. It's Thursday Thoughts after the midweek. Yeah, Coco, that's what we're here to talk about this morning. Let everybody get their thoughts off of their chest. Absolute craziness. Morning, Kefsi. Morning, Coco. There's a lot to talk about, and a lot in Major League Soccer to talk about. Opening kickoff's going to take care of a couple of topics in overseas, with the Europa League final apparently going like 9 days yesterday, and the after effects in the underground garage in Budapest, Hungary to talk about. There's some interesting stuff with Leeds. Jonathan Tannenwald has some up-to-date quotes on what was going on with Apple and their thoughts on MLS Season Pass. So there's some quotes there as well. And it will be, it might, well, yeah, when you're leading in offense and giving up the most goals in defense so far, I mean, it's you're bound to have moments of crazy. And last night was certainly one of those for Atlanta United. Like I said, whatever's on your mind, just get it off your chest, and we'll run through it. 10:30 this morning, we get the return of a very special guest. Niko Moreno, he's coming back, every week. Niko and I will always trade DMs, and it's like, okay, hey, when are you available? When are you available? When can you do Thursdays with Niko? What's your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And we'll go back and talk about times and things like that. And then, as a part of all of our conversations, he's like, yeah, 7:30 to 8 Thursday morning. I was doing the math, 7:30 at 3. Oh, it's his normal time slot that we're used to. Morning, Sharif. So Niko Moreno returns for Thursdays with Niko at 10:30. So that'll be fun, where we'll go through the rest of Major League Soccer from his perspective. And yeah, bam, we'll talk about CCL too. You will have and legitimately the Denny Bouanga goal with 95 in the 96th minute draws LAFC a little closer to León. León really, frankly, should have had 5, and they didn't get 5, and so you've given LAFC a window. Denny Bouanga scoring in the 90 plus 5 to make it 2-1 the final. Very, very late last night for a lot of us who were up to watch that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it was very, very interesting. And so we'll have Niko to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. David, if you've got subs or discretion, pretty much I think we could just file it right there. Ref's discretion. So you end up with 90 plus. So it's supposed to be 4 minutes, and you end up with Denny Bouanga scoring it in the 96th minute. So, yeah, anything is possible. Welcome to CCL. So there's that. So there's plenty to talk about this morning. Let me get into opening kickoff, because there was some interesting stuff away from Major League Soccer. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15. And you get to 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% and reinvest it into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So I don't know if you saw it. Video does exist of what happened after the Europa League final yesterday. And it was a very, very, how do we phrase this? It was a very, very angry Jose Mourinho and he confronted Anthony Taylor in the garage underneath Pushka Stadium yesterday. And that's weird that everything got unsubscribed. I mean, that's very, very weird. But yesterday, so Jose Mourinho, after losing in the penalty kick shootout, losing the chance to win the Europa League against Sevilla, Roma loses, goes in the car park, and you can go to the Telegraph, and they have it on their YouTube channel. And so what I will do is let everybody see what it's like. And so yesterday, after losing, branded Anthony Taylor in the underground garage, a blanket and an effing disgrace, was seen in a clip lambasting his BS decisions. I mean, he used the longer version of the word, as Taylor tried to leave. Roma loses 4-1 on penalties. Mourinho was unhappy about the 14 cards. 14 Anthony Taylor issued, a record for a European final. After accusing Taylor of, quote, seeming Spanish, end quote, Mourinho can be seen in the video approaching the match official's minibus and shouting, effing disgrace, man. It's an effing disgrace, before switching to Italian to further berate him, adding, congratulations, you effing disgrace, F off. In Italian, it was say una effa disgrazia. And so you had that. And he had to be restrained at some point. So Sevilla, once again, record extending, 7th time winning a title in Europe. 1-1 after extras. And then you had the half hour of added time. Roma's bench was furious. Eric Lamela was not shown a second yellow for a foul, compounded when he went on to score in the shootout. That was where the seeming Spanish comment came from. Mourinho, next year we won't be playing the Champions League, and that's a good thing because we're not made for it. And let's hope that Taylor only officiates games in the Champions League and does the same BS there that he did tonight and not in the Europa League. It was an intense, vibrant game with a referee who seemed Spanish. It was yellow, yellow, yellow all the time. That sounds like a song. Yellow, yellow, yellow all the time. Diego Llorente, the Roma defender, said today in all the dubious episodes, the yellow cards, the referee blew the whistle in favor of Sevilla. I am surprised because an international referee who has a great reputation. Remarkably, Mourinho claimed after the match he had never been prouder of his team, and we did not lose our dignity despite receiving 9 bookings as well as 1 for Mourinho himself. So Jose Mourinho, apparently he gave his medal away. So he gave his runners-up medal to a fan in the stands after the presentation, telling Movie Star, that's what I did. I don't want silver medals. I don't keep silver medals, so I gave it away. We welcome in Jared Smith. We were talking about how Jose Mourinho decided to berate Anthony Taylor in the underground garage for the opening kickoff this morning after losing to Sevilla in the Europa League final in penalties. So you got that this morning. You got Christophe Galtier mentioning that Lionel Messi's not coming back. And I know a lot of folks are starting their discussion about Atlanta United. Jarrett, where do you want to start first?
Oh God, wherever you want, I can go anywhere.
All right.
We can navigate this boat in any direction into any of these storms that we so choose. For what it's worth, Rangers women lost the Scottish Cup to Celtics women last weekend, and Rangers captain did the same thing. She also pulled a legitimate cheap shot in the game to try and hype her team up. She got tackled off the ball out of bounds, came back on, and just gave a two-handed shove into the back of a Celtic player who was not paying attention. Picked up a yellow card to try and hype her team up. It didn't work. Celtic scored again 2 minutes later. And then after they got their medal, but you could see her basically mouthing to the official on the ceremony of "I don't want it,"
Wow.
And then they have to put it around her neck anyway, and she's already walking off as it is still floating around her neck and sinking back onto her chest. And that like she starts walking away as that happens, and in one smooth athletic motion, she takes that medal off as she walks away.
Yeah.
I don't think she gave it to a fan in the stands. But you did have cool moments with that one at least, because like um, one of the players, for Celtic, um, is the great granddaughter of Patsy Gallagher,
Okay.
who was in the pantheon of Celtic players. And his I think it's his granddaughter or great granddaughter plays for the women's team. So yeah, not two people in that family have won medals. Um, no, I don't think anybody did a Jose though, but
No.
because Jose is just Jose.
So
Anyway,
yes, that was opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. There's your QR code for those of you watching on Twitch. And once again, don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15 for 15% off. And thanks to everybody who has so far. And they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. All right. Obviously, Atlanta United, biggest, the number one topic on the board. And then you've got the ebbs and flows of it seems like last night was a bit of a microcosm of the season. You have ebbs and flows, you've got the ups and downs, you've got everything compacted into a full 90 minutes, and it was absolutely your stomach was in about 90 different directions. But once again, that's pretty much 2023 in a microcosm for Atlanta United. Biggest thing, Jared, is you can't gift what you did early on. You can't gift them 2 goals. One from the run of play, going against the run of play, and then the one that happened in the first minute. You can't gift them. And then Atlanta United's fighting uphill the entire time, and they found ways to work their way past the New England trying to bunker and get out of town. And you had the Furious come back, and then you end up with the goal at the end. And I've got to look at it again to see how much of a screen was there for Carlos Hill to get it through all that traffic and beat Brad to the short side for the 3-3 draw. So
it's a really good shot.
yeah,
It's Carlos Hill in the box. Franco Ibarra steps up to him, and he'll beat him 1v1, which is okay. That's you join a very long list of people who Carlos Hill has beaten 1v1 just on his right foot. Um, I'm not sure how screened he was, but it's pretty close range. He goes short side, and I think Brad might have been expecting him to try and drag it far side because there was more room far side. But he got beat short side, and for the life of me, like I feel like we had this conversation. Like, so I looked at the numbers, by the way. So Atlanta's dropped. If you want the most recent additions of points dropped, let's do. And Toronto's not recent-ish, but Toronto, you drop points in Toronto. At the death, you drop points in Chicago when you shouldn't have. You dropped points last night. If you don't drop those points, that's 6 more points on your ledger. You'd be in second place. If you had a Nashville, you'd be sitting on 30 points or 31 points, I think. 30 points. You'd be sitting in second place.
Yeah.
For all of the mumbling and grumbling about the entire season, you would be sitting in second place in the East and possibly second place in the Supporters Shield table. Cincinnati is on a breakneck pace right now, for what it's worth. That being said, you dropped those 6 points, and last night was just, I don't know. It's almost like you're sitting there watching that last goal go in. You're like, Ibata steps to him. Good job, kid. Ibata was great last night. This team, I think, is better with Ibata in there. Like, at this point, it's full stop.
Yeah.
Don't know how else you can quantify it other than they're just better with Ibata in there playing the 6, and he was really good. He brings energy. He is not going to lose. He's not going to lose duels on the loose ball. If he does, he's going to take you with him. He's not going to lose. He's not going to put it this way. He's not going to lose duels without taking some skin.
Right.
He's either going to win the ball or he's going to win a piece of your body, probably a pound or two of flesh. But no one else really scrambles to step to him to heal. I forget. I think it's Parata who's kind of there, who just kind of slides. And I think Parata, maybe he's thinking the same thing. Maybe he's thinking Heel's going to try and drag this far post because there was space. There was the shot. There were two shots there, which is its own problem. There were two shots available to Heel. He went for the 9.8 difficulty to impress the Serbian judge.
Right.
He had a 7.6 to impress the other judges if you want to drag that far post. I'm wondering if that's Parata saw him. Parata kind of slides and late throw himself in the way, but it doesn't feel like anyone else is really scrambling that one as hard as they should have been, because you've been in this situation before now, and the goal should be obvious. And I get it. You have been chasing the game the whole way. They worked their ass off to get it back level. They did. They absolutely screwed themselves. With the first goal is just, it's a bad ball for Miles to Brad, and then Brad's got to put that in row H, and he doesn't. Both of them make mistakes on it. You're kind of caught in a transition on the second goal, and they work it out wide. Then you get Lennon trying to step out, but you get the one-timer by, I think it was Boateng hit it. Boateng one times it into the box. I got to go back and look at the build-up to it, because Lennon had stepped inside, and I don't know if it's because Miles didn't step, but like you look at the ball fly in, Miles is just kind of floating to the top of the box. He's not stuck to anybody, and I think it's Gutman or Prata is on the wrong side of Bobby Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And just like everyone's just kind of floating around there. It was really, really bad. And you fought your way back into it. You want to go second?
I'm looking at the second goal now, and cross from right to left wing, chipped in toward just in front of the net, and I've got to see what it looks like. Okay, so it looks like it's Miles and Gutman on the penalty spot. Purata is at the penalty spot, and cross comes in, goes past Miles, or I think it was it Miles or was it Purata who was watching?
I think it's Miles there. He goes past Miles.
And then it goes to the back post, and Bobby Wood's there for the slam dunk.
Because, you can't, because Gutman is not able to get on the right side of him.
Right.
It takes a piece of him. Because Bobby Wood got the worst of it.
Yeah.
But you got to have guys sticking to guys, and it wasn't the case. And man, you get Yakimakis who just finds the back of the net. Just some dudes just have a knack for they just have that killer instinct in front of goal, and he does. He just gets his foot on it, does it. You get the deflected goal. It's a great job to get the deflected goal from Amada. You fight your way back into it. Miguel Berry hits what might be the goal of the season around MLS.
Right.
Don't forget, Atlanta United voters are still undefeated. The emotional swings of that game are just crippling, and they're frankly exhausting.
Yeah.
The whole damn thing is exhausting, and it's frankly infuriating, because you've got too much talent, too much raw talent to be, shipping goals at this level. I said yesterday this could be a stupid 3-3, 4-4 kind of game, and it was.
Yeah,
it just didn't get the path we took to our destination was a really dumb one, because goals change games. Obviously, they change the narrative of the game. They change the way the game flows. But during those moments, man, like New England could not get out of jail to save their lives after a while.
But Petrovic did come up big with the save on
I wonder how many goals New England would be shipping if they didn't have Petrovic. Petrovic is one of the best shot stoppers in the league, and they've given up 6 goals in their last 2 games.
Yep.
Like, he made 2 or 3 saves last night. Where he made one cut across his body, where I think it's Almada, and a bouncing ball in the box, and he kind of takes it out of the air, and Petrovic diving to his right makes the save, and he made a couple last night where Atlantic could have had 5.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is though, Atlantic put up 3, 4, or 5.
Yep.
Shouldn't have to. Not with the raw, not with the raw, take it out of context talent that you have. You have arguably the best who has been arguably the best center back on this continent in Miles Robinson. Brad Guzan is slowing down. He's 38 years old. That's what happens. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm hurt. I'm just frustrated about it because
But you're not the only one, obviously.
Oh, I know. I know I'm not. It's just a really dumb game where you made it exciting because of your mistakes, and it didn't need to be exciting. I still didn't get this. I still don't get this concept that we have, if anyone has, of hey, maybe they've got issues with with scoring goals. No, they don't. They're
Oh.
in the league in goals scored. They got that part covered and
Mm-hmm.
smothered. Like in the past, I think we would have lamented, oh God, they're down 2 goals at home. This team's going to come in. They're going to put up a small wall in front of goal, and you're just not going to be able to find anything. That was very much not the case.
Oh, no.
They did put a small wall in front of goal, but you were able to find stuff. You had guys who had a bit of fortune on your side with the deflected goal from Almada. I mean, New England had fortune that Brad Guzan played a ball right to one of the most dangerous players in the league. But Yakamakis is able to find one. Miguel Berry's able to create one. There were times they had 10 guys behind the ball. You were able to find 2 goals in those instances and then find a third when things got stretched out.
Yeah.
That part ain't the problem, but Jesus, man, I don't know what you do with I don't know what you do. I don't know what Gonzalo Pineda would say to those guys. Because for me, those end of game situations, I don't know how you convey to guys that this is the moment you need to be pressing defensively. This is the moment.
Lock it down.
Yeah. I know you're tired. I know you just played 90 plus minutes getting this game back to a positive situation. But it needs to be ingrained in their heads. And Gonzalo Pineda has mentioned they train on this, train on into game situations. So I don't know what is not clicking, because there are certain parts of those end of game situations that should just be strictly and only for the end of game. Like players only, their brains switching on saying, oh, we're in stoppage time with a lead. All right. There's an ice bath waiting for you after this.
Yeah, I've got to elevate it that much more in this moment to make sure that everything stays the way that it is.
And that's not tactics. That is want to.
Yeah, that's the want to gene between the ears. That's what you hide underneath the 7 5/8 fitted. That's what that is. And I think that you're spot on there. And there've been a couple of thoughts that I've just kind of glanced at. Where the center backs are concerned, I think it was Tom was asking about Efrain Morales and wondering if Efra would be ready next season to play in Major League Soccer. From what you've seen so far?
I don't know if he would or not.
I think Noah might be closer than Efra.
Dude, Noah might be ready this year. And at this rate, you lead the league in goals surrendered. Just put Noah in there. I don't care anymore.
And I mean that because we've seen Noah in other competitions. We saw him in AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo against Toluca. We've seen him in those. We've seen him in those competitions. Then there's the discussion about Brad. Did he come back too soon? Brad is a monster. And this was supposed to be a 10 to 12 week rehab from the injury to come back. Brad, there have been interviews and there have been stories. Brad will push his limits, but he also understands where his body is, and he's not going to push it over a limit to come back. But he anticipated with his own rehabilitation plan that he'd be back after 4. He was mad that he was back at practice after only 4.5. So the notion that he was rushed back to come back between the sticks and be there instead of Q or Clement Diop, that's something that, I don't think that we need to focus on here, because it's something that's monitored by the staff, and they're not going to rush someone back. So I think the idea of Brad being rushed back is not something to focus on in this situation. Carlos Heel hit a shot, short side, and he's not the only one to do it. Brad is not the only one that has had to face that kind of a situation from Carlos Hill. It's a hell of a shot late in the match. Franco steps out, but once again, Franco's on a yellow. And, you can't completely and totally, plow Carlos Heel if you're Franco Ibarra. And so and like I said, I'm looking at the play. And so I was trying to see how much space was there to figure out, okay, was there a screen or not? No, it was a rocket to the short side, and you end up with 3-3. So you meant Reyes. Okay. So Vicente Reyes. Okay. So Tom is mentioning net and not center back. So what about Vicente Reyes and his timetable to make it up toward first team, you think? I mean, you've also got Justin Garces, who's coming off of an injury. So there's depth coming up from the system and the twos, Jarrett. But yeah, Tom meant Vicente Reyes, not Efrain Morales.
Okay, well, Vicente Reyes is a different conversation. He's still young. Reyes has been good with twos. Unfortunately, he's been in a lot more shootouts than he probably wants to be.
Yeah, exactly.
With the MLS Next Pro rules. Garces, you're still waiting on, and we had been told it was an ACL injury for him, but not one that necessarily required surgery. But it sounds like he's still in recovery. Not sure what the long-term prognosis is. We haven't really gotten a straight answer on that. And then Reyes has been good, but you do have Diop and Westberg ahead of him, I think, in the pecking order. And Reyes is one for the future. Garces is one for the future. And you kind of have to deal with the present right now. And the present is just that it's this weird thing where they're going to move Brad out there because he is a leader on this team. If for no other reason, you've had struggles, especially when he and Giacomakis are not on the field. Having someone grab this team by the throat and pick them up and tell them what you're going to do, having that kind of leader out there. And you're going to have him out there for that. The problem is that his shot stopping is falling off to the degree that it has. And look, I mean, he made a great save in the Orlando game to keep you down 1-0 and give you that opportunity to tie it up. And we'll get to the other end of that in a second, because there's another part of that game and this game that we got to have a conversation about people starting games, especially on said left wing issues, because that we're the Rubicon has been crossed on the left wing. We'll get to that. Okay. But those guys are for the future. But I don't know. I don't know that as long as he's healthy, that Brad's not going to be the guy.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. I think that unless there is some kind of schedule compression that you stare at, and it's like, okay, you monitor something is seen in the analysis, and I mean the physio analysis, where might be wise to sit Brad, or give him a couple of days, that kind of a thing. So That's, it's going to be Brad, even though we have seen both Quentin Westberg and Clement Diop make some serious saves. But once again, that's why you have that stockpile. That's why you've got Quentin Westberg. That's why you've got Clement Diop. And, that's why coming up through the system with the academy and the twos, you've got, and I think, Tom, to your point about next year, you've got to look at what happens this year with Vicente Reyes with Atlanta United 2, see where his development goes, and then figure out, okay, training camp, how's it looking? So that's what you're staying at. That's what you're looking at through the remainder of the year.
And to Michael's point, because I ran these numbers, I think Mike talked about them on the show. To Michael Head's point, on the post-game show, that Giacomakis is on 9 goals after 678 minutes.
Yep.
He is one off the Golden Boot lead. Everyone else who is in the neighborhood of a Golden Boot lead is well over 1,000 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the signing of the season, not for Atlanta, for the league.
Yeah.
Giacomakis has been the signing of the season, because you are getting a guy who, and I get it, he's going to slow down at some point, in theory.
Yeah.
He's going to slow down because he is at a video game pace of goal scoring.
He is.
But Yorgos Giacomakis has been the signing of the season in this league.
Yeah.
And full credit to them for getting it done. I would love to know how those negotiations went, by the way.
Oh,
absolutely. Because if y'all remember, the Greek sources were like, "Oh, the MLS team is interested in him."
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Fabrizio Romano said it was Atlanta United. Then it was Minnesota. Then it was, he's going to go to Red Diamonds.
Urawa Red Diamonds, the name of the offseason.
Yeah, the team that's going to swear like a hatred to Atlanta United, especially after seeing him do what he's been doing.
Well, but all of those indications were that Giacomakis wanted to challenge himself in MLS and not in the J League.
I think it's when he wanted to challenge himself, and I would be interested to ask him straight up, hey, how much of this was also you want to come here because, look, hey, man, you want to be honest about socioeconomic stuff for a minute? Yeah. America's a great place to be rich.
Uh-huh.
America is a wonderful place to be if you are rich. Mm-hmm. And, he's on designated player money. He's got a wife. He's got at least one kid. And he is in his late 20s. This also kind of felt like I can go to America and make really good money for a while.
Yeah.
And really set myself up for post-career life.
You're talking about a guy who led the Eredivisie in scoring at VVV Venlo, led the SPFL in scoring at Celtic, wanted the heat at Celtic with the number on his back, understood the importance of the number on his back when he came to Atlanta United.
He wore the 7 at Celtic because that's what Henrik Larsson wore.
Yeah.
He's like, I wanted to be Henrik Larsson. Okay, then what? I wanted to be Joseph Martinez.
Yeah.
The man has zero fear.
No.
He's the most Greek human being I've ever seen, and I've known many of them.
Yeah.
And I love it so much.
Well, and Ricky is wandering through those very steps as we speak. I mean, Ricky checked in yesterday from Greece, by the way. And so he's trying to figure out what we all need for shopping. And I think that we have all tried to convince him to get a Giacomakis national team jersey made, because Simicast has one that is ready to be purchased, but there do not apparently seem to be any Giacomakis Greek national kits available for purchase. So we might have to try and find a place for Ricky to have one made so he can come back with it.
Michael, that's on my bucket list. By the way, I want to go to Greece and have Greek food, because I do love Greek food. I love pretty much anything out of the Mediterranean. But I want to go have the authentic thing desperately.
Yeah. And Giacomakis was on a pitch count. He,
they blew past that pitch count.
Yeah. But that was in the post match. Gonzalo Pineda went into detail on that because he wasn't running back defensively and having to defend deep in the defensive third and come back all the way and be a part of the attack. That they were monitoring it, and that's why he lasted as long as he did. And so I know that folks were questioning why you're taking him out with that much time left. It was because he was on a pitch count and went way past the pitch count, and you didn't want to risk anything. So, yeah, I know that it looked counterintuitive, but that was why. You're trying to, once again, keep him as healthy as you can and not run him into the ground coming back from an injury. So that was where that was coming from.
Yeah, and it's been awesome to see what he's done this year. And the thing is, like, he's one of those guys because they're pro athletes and they're all psychotic in their own special way. He's hyper competitive.
Mm-hmm.
He probably knew he was on a pitch count. It's that thing of were y'all ever kids with a bedtime? Because did you ever have that thing where, like, you're playing, bedtime hits?
Yep.
Parents haven't said anything.
No.
5 minutes after, parents haven't said anything. 10 minutes after, parents haven't said anything. You know you're past the limit. And you're just kind of going to let it go. You're not going to say anything. You're not going to be that kid in class who tells the teacher, "I'm sorry, you forgot to assign homework tonight." You're gonna run it up there. He's going to stay on the field as long as he can because he's not going to want to come off because he believes in his heart of hearts that he's going to keep impacting games. Katie, he's better with his feet than I think he was in Glasgow, or better than he showed. He always had it. He's always had these moments. If you go look at his reel, he's always had these moments where he will play some one-touch passes that will break your brain, but it didn't always come off. And sometimes he would complete passes, but we've talked about this before. Where, like, he would complete passes, but it's the same thing with throwing a catchable ball in football. Throwing a ball or playing a pass where somebody can hit it in stride. Because if I put the pass behind you, you can stop, reach back, and get it. It's technically a completed pass, but all the forward momentum is gone. Where he would have some passes that were just kind of a little bit off, but they'd get completed. He's been amazing in his hold-up play. Yorgos Hakimakis has done everything you could want him to do. And then on top of that, I'm sorry, y'all. Last 3 games, Miguel Berry's making me eat lots of crow.
Yeah.
Because you have the game in Chicago where he creates that red card opportunity by picking up the loose ball, driving at the open space, and earning the red card on the Chicago player, and creates that situation that eventually leads to the first goal. Miguel Berry was solid in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought in the Orlando game, Miguel Berry was really solid. Creates that really tight near post opportunity where Pulso makes the save on him. I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, Miguel Berry's been been listening and reading the tweets because Miguel Berry last few games, it's not perfect. Nothing is. He's been better. He's been trying to make things happen, and then last night, Miguel Berry hit what's probably going to be the last goal of the season.
Well, and apparently,
should have been the game winner.
According to Michael Head, it was number 5 on the SC top 10 this morning.
That should have been higher because that thing's off the half volley. He takes that thing off the half volley and beats Petrovic to the upper 90. It's in
the air. He chests it down, then he's back to goal, chests it down, turns, volleys, fires, and Petrovic has 0 chance.
It's almost like if you froze it and you told me, hey, actually, if you look really closely and change the saturation, you can see that there is a person in a green screen suit picking up the ball and carrying it into the upper 90 because it was that beautiful. I imagine it's, to cross your sports references, if you've ever swung a baseball bat and really squared up a ball, because if you miss hit a ball with a metal or wooden bat, it hurts. If you catch a ball on the hands, like on the skinny part of the bat, or catch it off the end, it rattles. It feels like there are bees in your hand, especially on a cold day.
Absolutely.
It is one of the most uncomfortable feelings because your hands just hurt for a good 30 seconds, at least. But you catch a ball clean on the sweet spot of the bat like along the grain of a wooden bat or on the hot spot of a metal bat, you don't feel it.
No.
You hear the crack or you hear the ping,
And you
but you
smell,
don't
if it's a wood
feel.
bat, you sometimes
You
smell
smell it. Oh yeah, you smell the contact, the friction it creates, but you don't feel it at all.
Mm-mm.
It's beautiful. That's what I imagine that felt like because he hit that about as clean as humanly possible. I have loved what Miguel Berry has brought the last few games. I hope he keeps it up, and I hope he is really finding himself. And it took some games for him to make an impact, and I think he is starting to do that in dangerous ways. On the other hand,
There you go.
we need to talk about Derek Etienne Jr. losing minutes because I love Derek Etienne Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He's a super fun guy to talk to. He's a smart guy to talk to. He's very funny. He's great for your clubhouse. I understand why you start him in that game. You're
Yeah.
trying to keep his confidence high. You want to get him going because he can be a good contributor on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not starting him over Tyler Wolff right now. That team was better when Tyler Wolff came in. And Wolff he didn't flip the game on its head. He wasn't like unplayably good. He was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the team was better when Tyler Wolff was in there. And at this point, until you get Caleb back, and look, man, the U20s look like they're going to make a run here. We might
Yeah.
not have Caleb back for another couple of weeks at their
Right.
minimum.
Yeah.
Unless they just absolutely spit the bit in the quarterfinal. Man, like Tyler Wolff and Amadaflo and I were talking about yet last night. Like, I'm so happy to see it because if you talk to Wolff, he is an incredibly high IQ kid.
Yeah.
He's incredibly smart. He's incredibly perceptive. His soccer IQ is incredibly high. He does all of the little things well, especially like the counter pressure, being in the right spot, trying to read the game and seeing where he needs to be. He has not been able to put those together in the past for multiple games in a row. There's that thing you're looking for with young players. I was like, I know you can do it at this level. I need you to do it every single game. And he hasn't been doing that. Well, since Memphis, he has been. And that's a mixture of levels. Like that was U.S. Open Cup level. He's done it in MLS Next Pro, and he's been doing it in MLS. Doesn't mean he's going to score every game, but it feels like Tyler Wolff is putting it all together, and I'm happy for him because I talked about this before yesterday that he took that snub from the U20s World Cup team and he's run with it, and he's decided to become better, and I think he has leveled up with it. But I need him starting in LA, and you got a week off. You go to play LAFC. We can talk about that for a bit in a minute.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that game worked out really well for you because now LAFC have a very good situation for the final second leg, to where you are going to get LAFC's second team. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Their first team played last night in Leon at altitude. They play again Sunday. They're going to run their starters out there and they are going to try and kill them. Because it is 2-1. It is 2-1 going into the second leg. McCarthy is the only reason it wasn't like 5-0.
Yeah.
Leon played them off the field for very large chunks of that game. But it's a perfect setup if you're Atlanta because you're probably going to get a mixed, if not completely second team out of LAFC when you go see them, which you will absolutely need to deal with this. But it needs to be Wolff starting at left wing.
And the what was the other one of the other topics on the board, and folks have talked about Derek Etienne Jr. and Tyler Wolff and Caleb Wiley. Turner, have we talked about how Almada almost breaking our brains with a free kick again? That needs to be a picture in the dictionary about brain breaking, and just have it be like a gif of a Thiago Almada free kick. I mean, with that particular kick, And for those of you who were in the building last night, we tried to have anatomy of a free kick for our Scana hot play. And first and foremost, I have no earthly idea why, knowing what we know about Thiago Almada's free kick history / prowess, why there was a player laying down behind the wall. 9 times out of 10, I've seen him go up top. And Petrovic was frozen. Frozen. I mean, and the deal with Petrovic in the middle of the net trying to cheat to the far post and miss it, and hit the crossbar flush. But Petrovic, the fact that he lined up in the middle, was cheating to the far post. If I'm Thiago Almada and you've got book on Thiago Almada, he's going near post in that situation, up and over, and seeing where Petrovic is cheating, you're going to go back to the other side. So all you've got to do is get it up over the wall, which Thiago Almada did. And, as we mentioned at the half, soccer's a game of centimeters, if not millimeters.
Didn't we see? Was it against Orlando last year where we saw them do the exact opposite? Was it Orlando where they went? I can't remember if it was or not. They scored a free kick goal last year where the goalkeeper cheated behind the wall, and it might have been Almada, whoever it was, just basically went to the far corner.
I think it was.
The keeper just stood there like, well,
yeah,
okay, because you can't cheat one way or another with Almada. You know he can put it in that upper 90 on the far corner.
Mm-hmm.
He did it. Did it against Portland with the shot he hit from basically Forsyth County. Yeah, man, it's just. I don't know how you deal with him because you're right. He was frozen. It's flush off the crossbar.
Mm-hmm.
You know he's going to go up and down if you give him that opportunity, but you can't cheat that hard because if you do, he's just going to push that thing into the far corner in the upper 90. And if you're cheating to get behind the wall, he's just going to put it up on the other side, and you're probably not going to get to it. As far as putting bodies behind the wall or putting the guy laying down behind the wall, I don't get it either. I still don't get it either, just because like all I can ever think about when I see it is what Nick Romando always said about when you've got a wall. When you jump in your wall, jump with your toes pointed down.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to point position.
Yep.
Just jump with your toes down.
Yeah.
And then you got another, because you are sacrificing a defender with somebody laying on the ground. Because I don't know how many up downs y'all did in school.
Yeah.
But human beings can get up pretty quickly when they need to. But that's still, a second and a half, 2 seconds before you're up and ready to defend. And that is the difference between, and 2 seconds is an eternity in those moments where if it's, if they don't go straight to goal, they play it somewhere else, you're down a man for 2 seconds. That's an eternity.
Yeah.
I don't
2 seconds. 2 seconds is the amount of time it took from the time the ball was struck by Thiago Almada to the time it hit the crossbar. That's what you're staring at. And remember what happened against and this is a twos reference, in the FC Cincinnati 2 match a couple of matches back where Heimar hits basically it was from the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Heimar hits a free kick, it comes off the crossbar, and Kareem Tamimi is crashing at that point, and he volleys it in.
Speaking of guys who were going to screw around and earn themselves a pro deal, Kareem Tamimi is he's going to screw around and earn himself a pro deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's here. That'd be really cool if it was. If Kareem Tamimi ends up becoming like part of your striker room, that'd be cool. Because Kareem Tamimi has been about that.
Yeah, he has.
Life.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is it's and I got to catch up with Steve Cook a little bit last night too. Just casual conversation. He was there waiting. He was waiting to go on with Jason and Mike, and I'm like, oh, there's Steve Cook. But you've seen with the twos. First off, it was Nick Firmino, and now it's Kareem Tamimi. Someone else has, over the last handful of matches, picked up that the number one spot for putting the ball in the back of the net, and to have that kind of balance, to have that kind of different, those different dudes helping you out if you're the twos, only makes the decisions more difficult, which is what you want, and trying to figure out, okay, if I need somebody in a pinch, do I bring up Kareem Tamimi? Do I put Nick Firmino on the game day 18 or the game day 20? Who travels? Those kinds of things. But you want those kind of questions coming forward. But yeah, I think it's 6 is the record, and I think the next one for Thiago is it 4? I think the next one for Thiago is 4. So, no, I mean, we'll keep an eye on that as Thiago's chasing records. But apparently last night, Apple did not fix the hometown radio call until 6 minutes in. And I'm sure that that
will bring this back to some of y'all who were part of the internet in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Unforgivable.
Yes, absolutely.
Get a gold star if you remember those days.
Yes.
But, yeah, man, I don't want to listen to Taylor Twellman.
No. I did.
I'm sure Taylor's a nice person to talk to. I don't want to listen to him call games. In the same sense, I know Nick has talked about, like, when he was working in media interviewing Lawless.
Yeah.
And when you get Lawless away from the character, that Lawless was a really fun guy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to listen to Taylor call games. I can't. It's so much better with Zivin, by the way, than it was with Champion. It's a step up. The Apple calls have been much better. It's a better fit than it was with John Champion.
Yeah. Well, and I give, and I was making this point yesterday. Jake and TT called Cascadia, and it was Seattle at Portland. And to give you an example, Jake has been the longtime play-by-play voice for the Portland Timbers. Mm. And
he's really good at his job, too.
Yeah, the first 90 seconds of the broadcast at Providence Park were the fans in Portland chanting something not anatomically impossible towards Seattle. And Zivin laid out for the first 90 seconds of the match. All you hear as the ball is being kicked around are the Portland Timbers fans yelling about what Seattle should do to itself. And you could sense that Jake was probably laughing or giggling and holding down the cough button so he wouldn't be heard. And they kept both of them off the air for that first 90 seconds until the crowd started to calm down and the action kind of got into a rhythm. But that's the difference, I think, having somebody that's Jake, who gets it and understands the environment that he's around. Abby, thanks for hopping in for the first hour. So yes, Coco, those were the chants. And laying out for that first 90 seconds in Portland with Jake and TT on the call, it was hilarious. And so it was.
He like basically took away Twellman's headset and like cut the cord on. I'm like, don't say a word. I'll get you a new one. Don't say a word.
Don't say a word. Don't say a word, sir. But that's what you're getting with that new crew.
And Katie, Alexi is basically like he's a wrestling guy.
He's a wrestling.
He's a wrestling character.
Yeah, he is, and
he has because like if you ran into, I feel like if you ran into Roman Reigns, Joe, as he's probably known by his friends,
Joe Anoa'i,
noted Georgia Tech alum.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're probably a different person than the Roman Reigns character that has just been cultivated over the last decade. Taylor and Alexi Lawless is probably a different human being when the camera's not on. He is a wrestling character for better or worse, and both of those apply for me because there are good parts of that and there are bad parts of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to go with the radio call. I'm sorry, Van, that you don't get radio calls internationally. Someone said he still has koalas. Man, koalas aren't exactly great animals, and that just kind of hang around and eat eucalyptus, which isn't even that nutritious for them. Koalas are just
They just
trying to survive natural selection every day of their lives.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the point was made for our friends in the app that if you went to Odyssey, I think that you could get you listen to Mike and Jason on the Odyssey app, and I've started doing that for road games. So I will listen to the Odyssey app with Mike and Jason, and then time it. You can actually move and slide your Apple TV broadcast and sync it up to where you can sync up Odyssey to Apple instead of having to listen to either network or the local option when Atlanta United's on the road. So yeah, and bam, that's basically it. Is that what you do? Is you have the Odyssey app up to 92.9 The Game, and we have it routed to where we have a cable that goes from our phone into our stereo system, and literally we can take the Odyssey app, plug it into the stereo, comes through the receiver, and we can listen to it off of our speakers and just back time or move forward the Apple broadcast where it syncs up with Mike and Jason. So yes.
I agree with Bam that I want an audio section only that is just the supporters section, where I can just listen to the supporters section. But I also want that for football because I want ESPN to be unserious enough to where they will give me the support. They will give me the student section at LSU games and just completely unfiltered play neck.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hear neck in all its glory.
So yeah.
Really
so
all I ask for.
If you ended up with like a stadium nat sound option where you could hear the supporters or the student section or the band or something like that, where it was just a parab that was aimed in that direction, I think that you could end up doing that.
Y'all want to talk about like funny things from the Orlando game? I'm still tickled that Orlando's tifo was about trophies. Trophies forever. You won a trophy that Atlanta's already won.
Good for you.
You have fewer of them in total. That's not the flex you think it is.
No. Yes, night games at Baton Rouge are definitely something. They are to be experienced once and one time only for the visiting team.
No, they are to experience as often as you can make it happen.
Well, no, if you're the visiting team.
Find friends at a tailgate and make friends. Make lifelong friends at a tailgate.
Of course. So, I mean, it is out of control. See, we're solving problems here in the show. We've gone from discussing things to solving problems. We're solving Apple TV's problems.
We're solving problems for Apple TV, and we're discussing how Atlanta is the Texas Tech.
It is Big 12. It is Big 12
Texas
football.
Tech of MLS.
It
is going to score a metric ton. We are also going to give up a metric ton, and you are just hoping for the final possession.
Yeah.
And right now, Yorgos Yakimakis is basically Graham Harrell.
Yeah, that's where you are.
Graham Harrell was out there playing with a 7-6 record, going to like the Bitcoin Bowl, but putting up 540 yards a game, throwing 70 passes because, as we discussed last night with Will, Mike Leach is the most, God rest his soul, is the most CONCACAF college football coach that this planet has ever seen and probably will ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes.
Where's Bart when I need him? Because Dana Holgerson might be a close second, especially his West Virginia teams.
Well, I mean, you've got the Dana Holgerson team that went to the the Orange Bowl and put up, was it 70 on Clemson?
Yeah, because then Clemson fired, I think Ted Roof was the DC. They fired their DC, and that basically started the Clemson dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Dabo never fires anybody. And Dana dropped 70 on him because like they had the meme going around was like the speed limit sign in West Virginia, because the speed limit through West Virginia, large chunks of those mountain roads is like 70 miles an hour through the highways. It's like it's more than just the speed limit.
Yeah.
Because they dropped 70 on Clemson.
Yep.
Then Dabo was like, cool, watch this.
Yes.
He won 2 national titles.
Yep. Katie, I'm right there with you. Will with the public service announcement. Graham Harrell went 11-2 in 2008. Katie, I think that this is also
that was
something
a
that
magical season. There's also Michael Crabtree,
yes.
who is an amazing what could have been, because remember he held out. He got drafted by the Niners in the first round, but he wasn't the top wide receiver taken because Darius Hayward-Bay got taken by Al Davis's geriatric and it like basically mentally gone ass. And because Darius Hayward-Bay ran like a 4.3. And that's all Al Davis cared about because he was insane and he no longer had functioning brain cells.
He's insane and he's fast.
Like Al Davis was nuts, man, at the end.
Yeah, he was, of course.
And
yeah, I mean,
Michael Crabtree. Oh man, what could have been? Because go back and watch that Texas Tech game. And I get they went 11-2 in 2008. They also had some pretty mid years where they put up 1,000 points every 2 games.
Yeah. Katie Weaver, I'm right there with you. The next thing that Apple needs to tackle is having a naughty option in the chain. I think we need a naughty option, definitely.
Turner doesn't want to talk about the 70-point game.
No.
Turner, it improved you.
Yes.
It improved Clemson. They got a better defensive coordinator, and they won 2 national titles, and then played for 2 more. Bama was there for the taking in the second one. You could have beaten Bama twice. The LSU one, I have to separate my fandom from it, is the simple fact that LSU team was just it was basically smashing atoms together, and you created a new element for exactly 1 season, and you made probably the best team of the last 30 years. Possibly. Well, those Miami teams would disagree with me, as with the Nebraska teams. I'm going to start a fight over this. I'm going to shut up.
Exactly. Turner says someone needs to put into Chat GPT to have Mike Leach describing MLS. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was Kevin Steele was the DC.
Yeah. OG discussing the purple team and the purple match. Apparently, they sent the room monitor over to the fan section when the OFYO chant started. Yes. The OG says that the TIFO in Orlando was cute. Bless their hearts. So you've got KFC's pretty simple. Disparage all of us as a single group, okay, but single out a group for abuse, that's not cool. Okay, so Michael Head with the OSG Sports college football question. How many teams has Ted Roof coached in his career?
Too many.
Especially wearing a sideline muumuu. You've got okay. So here we go. Here's Ted Roof.
Is it the same kind of thing that Gene Chizik always wore?
Roof's actually was a muumuu. I mean, it looked like an absolute tent. Where Chizik had the pullover, the sweatshirt pullover kind of deal. Roof's actually was a muumuu. Alabama, but it's a lot bigger. It's like add a couple of X's for Ted Roof. Alabama, West Georgia, Duke, UMass, promotion at UMass. Western Carolina, Georgia Tech, promotion at Georgia Tech. Duke, interim head coach, and was coached there from 04 to 07. Minnesota, Auburn, Central Florida, Penn State, back to Tech, North Carolina State, associate head coach, co-DC, and safeties coach. App State in 2019. Vanderbilt to be the DC in 2020. Clemson as a defensive assistant, and now he's the DC and linebackers coach at Oklahoma. Head coaching record, 6-45. So that's your Ted Roof coaching tree, going from Tuscaloosa to Carrollton to Oklahoma in a 36-year coaching history. So that's your.
I would rather just have Gus Malzahn, because at least then I know I'm getting because we made the meme about Mark Richt for so many years. He's a good man. So was Gus Malzahn. At least Gus Malzahn took this high school to like college route and wasn't clown shoes about everything. Also, Gus Malzahn didn't attempt to usurp the Auburn job.
Yeah.
With donors.
Yes.
Why is it always Auburn? Like, it's that one. It's the fact that Petrino tried to usurp the Auburn job at one point. Like
from a plane. It was from a plane.
Like with his was his friend who had the job, and he tried to snake it from a friend. Auburn, why can't you be normal?
Ask Texas A&M about that, considering that right now the quitter is in pole position to have Robert Petrino Esquire be the individual who could do that when they finally have everything all squared away. Okay, so Tom, with an actual this would be interesting logistically. I know that you can do it in the concourse. Tom and Michael going back and forth. Tom wants to listen to Mike and Jason at the matches, but it's impossible. Wish the stadium would provide some type of direct feed we could get while they're inside.
That'd be great. Because didn't people used to do this back in the day with baseball games? You go sit in the stands and have the little portable radio in your ear. Yeah. You could listen to the home call.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be great. And I think the game plan tentatively is for next year or the year after for Apple to put visiting radio as an option. Also a reminder, not every team travels their radio team.
Yeah. Very few.
I love that Atlanta does. I love that they have invested that side of things, because you can invest on the sporting side, but I want them to keep investing this. Like send your folks to do games.
Yeah.
Keep doing that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so you've got that. Bam has a note overseas, but first, before we get to that, we got a little bit of this. And it's international, so it's a soccer over there kind of a note. In addition to Lionel Messi leaving a PSG, Karim Benzema is now apparently leaving Real Madrid after 14 seasons. So according to
can he score goals like Miguel Berry?
Yeah, true. Daniel Rouse at the score. He's decided to leave Real Madrid after 14 years, according to Julien Lorient at the four-letter. Champions League 5 times, 4 La Liga, 3 Copa del Reys, various other trophies, 5 Club World Cups. 35-year-old's contract expires June 30. Benzema is reportedly considering a move to Saudi Arabia worth 400 million euro over 2 years. He's asked a Real Madrid physio to join him in the Middle East if he decides to follow Cristiano Ronaldo to the Saudi Pro League, according to the Athletics' Mario Cortegana. So Messi probably heading to Saudi Arabia, and probably Karim Benzema and Hugo Lloris sending their way over to Saudi Arabia as well. Bam. Can we talk about how stupid Tottenham fans are saying they don't want Ange if he leaves Celtic?
My favorite comment about this was actually a Celtic fan who said something to the same effect of, I can't believe how stupid these Tottenham fans are. I saw some of their comments and thought it was me from 2 years ago, which is a good level of self-awareness and accurate, because most of Celtic Twitter hated the idea of Ange coming in because they had just missed out on Eddie Howe. But now you've got half of Glasgow ready to line up and fight Daniel Levy if they have to, which isn't a fight Daniel Levy wants, because I feel like you get a bunch of Celtic dads in that fight and you end up in a situation where it's a knife fight. And as the saying goes with knife fights, when there is a knife fight, you either die there on the knife fight or you die at the hospital.
Yes.
Don't get into a knife fight, please, ever.
No, we don't. We do not.
We do not sanction knife fights on SDH.
No.
Yeah, man, it's. I don't know what Spurs fans want. You know what they'll do though? They're apparently, so Saturday is the Scottish Cup final.
Yes.
With Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, and the greatest mascot the second greatest mascot in Scotland, Kingsley the Giant's son, Partick Thistle's mascot.
That dude.
That's an amazing mascot. It's the most. Y'all, please look up Partick Thistle's mascot. It is like, if you remember Super Mario 2, where the angry sun would chase you around and try and swoop in on you, it's that.
Yeah.
It's an angry sun.
Yeah.
Partick Thistle's mascot is a joy. Inverness Caledonian Thistle, which is up on the water. The stadium's pushed up right against the water.
Yeah.
Inverness ICT's mascot is Nessie, because Inverness is
Yeah.
where Loch Ness is. Their mascot is Lionel Nessie.
Yes.
It's
Lionel
10 out of
Messi.
10.
We're not.
And the only reason it's not the best is because Kingsley the Giant's son is 11 out of 10.
Uh-huh. Yikes.
The end, forever and ever, amen. After that game Saturday, it sounds like Tottenham's going to put the full court press on them. I won't blame Ange one bit if he takes the job because they would be getting, I would imagine they're going to pay him less than they would pay other managers.
Yep.
It would still be, damn near retirement level money, probably. Like, if depending on how you live your life, if you live within your means or not. It would be very, very good money, I'm sure, for Ange. And if it doesn't work out, and it probably won't because Daniel Levy is Daniel Levy, then you can, then you take the buyout and you go do something else.
Yep. No, we have not paid bills this morning. So we need to do that coming up here in short order. Niko Moreno joining us hopefully at the bottom of the hour out there in the West, where he gives us our Pacific perspective on Thursdays with Niko. So I guess it's time to pay bills. So
okay, let's pay bills.
I'll read a promo
because I have a question after that.
All right. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize service. Lemonize service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Lemonize created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we may have underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard and bring out said masking, spray it in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because it just masks the odor. It doesn't attack the issue all the way down to the molecule, like our friends at Lemonize do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways. Either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. This is where I grab my pen. ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta. That's the homework assignment. So add /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your issues. Lemonize.com/Atlanta. Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on Thursday Thoughts that ranged from the New England Revolution and Atlanta United madness from last night to coaches to mascots and everything else that's going on. Let's see. Who was it that's the OG is looking for an SOT reunion recap show because there's not enough mascot talk here.
Yeah, there never is. Also, again, ICT is goated, if for no other reason. Last time they beat Celtic in a cup competition, we got one of the greatest headlines in world history that I've talked about numerous times. Headline being, Super Cali Go Ballistic Celtic are atrocious.
Oh, no.
It's an absolutely 10 out of 10 headline. It is S tier. It is brilliant.
No.
Yeah.
OG, that's an interesting question. If you're watching on Twitch with the phone, how do you use said phone to use said QR code? I'm guessing what you might have to do is minimize us, and then with us playing in the background, then go to your QR code snagger and use that app to get the QR code for our friends at Lemonize. But, you could, like I said, you can always go to the website also if the phone can't quite multitask, and just go to lemonize.com/Atlanta. Do that instead of having to navigate your phone and minimize and click and hit QR code things and things like that. So Katie Weaver on the Benzema News. I get these pros chasing that Saudi dollar, but does competitiveness, quality of life, human rights, ? Mean anything to these guys? Like, how many millions do you need? And the OG's right there with Katie. Inquiring minds want to know.
I'm guessing here because I haven't. You're not. I don't think you would get a straight answer out of them anyway.
No.
We're talking about a lot of these cases like money that their kids don't have to work unless they get real stupid. Unless they turn into Arthur
Yeah.
from the movie Arthur, which is a brilliant film.
Absolutely.
Dudley Moore is wonderful.
Arthur 2 on the rocks was not.
No, unless they turn into Dudley Moore and Arthur and just start blasting through their money at ridiculous rates, like it's multi-generational setup, and I guess they are fine selling their soul for that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. Honestly, is they have no problem selling their soul for multi-generational security.
Yeah.
That's
basically
that's the only reason I can think of.
Yeah.
Because you're not going there for the competition.
No.
You're not going there for the weather.
No.
It's not like you're playing in San Diego where it's 70 degrees and sunny with a light breeze every day.
No, that is accurate. It is not 70 with a light breeze. It might be 70 centigrade with a light breeze, but that's about it.
The funny outcome in all this though is these guys make life-changing money, and then the tax man comes, and the tax man, aside from Shakira, he doesn't miss.
Gosh, Gerard Piqué, what are you doing? Michael Head,
Jimmy Butler had the greatest. That's why Jimmy Butler got the Eastern Conference Final MVP. By the way, Jimmy Butler wasn't the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, but the man connected with Shakira.
Yes. Michael Head, they need all the money. Ask FIFA about human rights priorities. Tom, do the Saudi authorities basically exempt these guys from laws and lifestyle restrictions? There have been.
I believe they do.
Yeah, I think so, because there have been instances. I think it was it Cristiano Ronaldo?
It was Ronaldo. Like his girlfriend could. Yeah, they're like, we'll set you up. Your girlfriend can come.
Yeah,
and y'all want to live outside of wedlock.
Yeah, you can cohabitate, which is apparently a large no-no in Saudi Arabia, that if you are boyfriend and girlfriend, you cannot cohabitate. But for Cristiano Ronaldo, yeah, sure, go ahead. Don't worry. You go to the front of the line.
Yeah, and Rich makes a good point. A lot of these guys are from the hood. You can't go back to the old times. Yeah. And you're like I said, you're talking about multi-generational wealth. You're squaring up. Some of these contracts, you were squaring folks up in your family for your grandkids are going to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be soccer players. Your grandkids don't have to be bricklayers.
Yeah.
They don't have to be selling stuff on the street. And honestly, depending on where some of these guys come from, like for instance, like Tito Villalba. Tito Villalba came out of a very rough neighborhood in Argentina.
Yeah.
Like one of those neighborhoods where folks don't come out of in one piece. Barco came out of there. Some of these, Almada came out of some of these neighborhoods. Like some of these guys come out of some really rough places, and you give them the option to make sure that they and their family never have to deal with that again.
Yep.
The soul's not as the soul's price tag is not as high as you think it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's that's what you're. Yeah, and Will. That's why Tito was always ready to fight you.
Tito was really high on the list of people I'm not going to fight. First of all, like Tito looked like somebody who would pop up in a Bloodsport movie.
Chong Li. Yeah.
But yeah, man, some of these guys are from areas that you don't square up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll never forget the Jaylen Brown video that somebody put on Twitter so irresponsibly a couple of years ago, where they're like, Jaylen Brown grew up in the mean streets of Marietta, and then like cited some cherry pick statistic about how Marietta had like an insanely high crime rate.
He went to Wheeler.
I think he grew up off Delk Road, which is not a great place. Like if you're gonna pick an area of Marietta that isn't my area, it's Southwest Cobb.
Yeah.
Because I technically had a Marietta zip code.
Yeah.
Delk Road, when the sun goes down, ain't one of the places to be.
No, especially if you turn right off the off-ramp.
Yeah. You get going down past McTavish's and down past that QT or that racetrack. Yeah, it's not ideal.
No.
And
don't go into the office park either after dark.
No. But it's or the whirly ball spot.
No.
but it's sunshine and rainbows compared to some of these places,
Yes.
some of these favelas. So on that front, some of the stuff these guys come from, I can understand why they do it. Benzema, I actually don't know what his life was like growing up, so
Yeah.
I can't say.
I just know French. That's all I know.
I've always wanted to play whirly ball. Yes, I'm out of flow. Marietta, bruh, is the correct answer here.
Bruh.
And like, dude, I grew up in Marietta. I grew up in the sketchy side of Marietta, but wasn't that bad.
Yeah. That yes, and Socrates reminds us about Christophe Galtier coming public and saying that Lionel Messi's time at PSG is done. So now we wait on Vision 2030 to take hold in Saudi Arabia for Lionel Messi. I know that who was it?
Miami and Barcelona are going to try, like unlikely bedfellows.
Yeah, Katie Weaver. Get it for Lloris and Benzema even, but Messi has all the money. Just won't be shocked if he decides to go to Miami for half the money. Katie, I'm looking at it from strictly the ambassadorial part, where they already have Cristiano Ronaldo as an ambassador for Vision 2030. You have Lionel Messi.
Yeah, Messi does have all the money that God could give him. That one is a different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Benzema's made a lot of money too. The guys I understood it for, I'll tell you, actually, is a guy like PT Martinez.
Yeah.
Because PT made good money at River, I'm sure. He made really good money here.
Yeah.
PT was when he was here more of a reserved kind of guy, like family man kind of thing. He was much less of the La Banda kind of guy.
Right.
And I think, his trip to Saudi Arabia could have involved like, hey man, you can play out this contract and retire if you want to, kind of thing. And maybe he goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
But those kind of guys, like who haven't cashed in on a lifetime's worth of playing yet.
Yeah.
Those guys, I don't agree with it from an ethical perspective.
Yeah.
But I also didn't grow up in their shoes.
Correct.
And I haven't experienced life the way they have. And one part of that equation that I will always factor into it, and I wouldn't have factored this in until I became a parent, is if you grew up in an awful situation like that, you want to protect your kids from everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's some lessons in life that you're like, you're standing on a chair, you're jumping on the bed. I'm going to let you learn this lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
There's some lessons you don't want them to have to learn the hard way. There's some lessons you want to protect them from. If you got kids and you're, Pity Martinez's age, who you've had good contracts, but you're still playing them out, and someone says, I'll come here and play here, and I'm going to pay you enough money. You don't have to work after this, and your kids don't have to work, and your grandkids don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's real damn appealing to take care of your family and make sure they never have to go back to what you came from, and that your kids never have to experience what you did.
Yep. Socrates has a feeling Messi returns to Barca. Anybody that is linked to Barcelona, my first thought is, how are you going to pay him? With what money?
Well, there was the rumor that Miami would do it and then loan him to Barcelona. Was like the idea being like, go sign with Miami and then take the loan to Barcelona for a year, maybe two, and then go play in Miami.
Yeah, I mean,
which would be the most Barcelona thing to get around having to actually pay him money because they can't.
Yes. So a high TAM signing for Inter Miami at Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Kind of like make him a Blaise Matuidi 2.0.
Oh no! Actually, no. You clear out a DP. You find a way to clear out a DP spot, even if you have to, use like a get out of jail free card.
Right.
And Don Garber would probably make a new rule for Lionel Messi. You'd have a super DP rule or something.
Yeah.
And pay Messi all of the money in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's playing in Barcelona for a year or two.
Yeah.
Because when he comes here, he's going to be, a one attraction.
Yeah. Socrates also mentions, love to see that Messi goes to Newell's, and I posted as required reading, the story that Sebastian Fest wrote in The Athletic from middle of March, where the narco wars in Rosario, where there was a bullets. So there were bullets, gunshots ring out in Rosario. This is the beginning of the article. What made this incident different was the target, an Unico supermarket in the west of the city, one of a chain owned by Jose Rocuzzo, the father-in-law of Lionel Messi. And to underline it was no random attack, there was a note left along with 14 bullet holes in the shop front. It was simple and chilling. Messi, we are waiting for you. So going back to Rosario and getting to Newell's, he might be able to help them out financially in the situation. I don't know if he goes back to play because of things like that. And that was why I posted the article from The Athletic. And, yeah, we talked about the Quincy Promes situation yesterday, Socrates, where, it's what was it, 3,000? Was it 3,000 kilos of let me get it right. Yeah, Quincy Promes. Hang on just a second, because it was
was it?
Yeah, prosecuted for alleged drug trafficking of over 1,360 kilos of cocaine. Also facing assault charges. Right now he's playing at Spartak Moscow. Alleged involvement in drug trafficking. Suspected of having been involved with smuggling 1,360 kilos of coke to the Netherlands or Belgium in 2 shipments in 2020. Dutch newspaper Het Parool quoted his lawyer as saying he would comment on the case during a pro forma hearing scheduled for Monday, which A&P and said Promes is not expected to attend. Capped 50 times, faces charges of assault in the Netherlands, arrested in connection with a 2020 stabbing in the Dutch town of Abcuda. It later emerged the alleged victim was Promes' cousin, and the incident took place in a fight after a family party. Promes has denied involvement in a hearing in the case is also scheduled for Monday. So Quincy Promes and Spartak Moscow, they got some stuff, They got some stuff going on. Let's see. KFC, Newell's and Godoy Cruz played this weekend. Heinz team looks familiar with wide wingers. People kept asking about Noob v. God. Then we got folks talking. Hey, Socrates, glad you're here. Don't worry about it. Down at the Amex in Brighton yesterday. And by the way, glad you're watching. Glad you're listening. Glad you're a part of everything. That's besides, you bring a topic in, it might have advanced, and we might have gotten some other news that were attached to it. I didn't know it was a part of a family party. So, no, keep bringing topics in. That's what we're here for. That was quite a Sunday night. Then El Mataflo, one of the best ones was torn down for a checks notes. Panera, Brazilian spots. Yep. So everybody's talking about Brazilian food as well in Cobb County.
Wait, which Brazilian spot?
I don't know. That's a question.
Oh God. There was one. There was. I actually don't think it's Cobb County. Never mind. Okay, never mind. There's the one on Roswell Road at 285.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you get off 285 Roswell Road, go over to the shopping centers.
Yep.
Right across from the Taco Mac. There was a Brazilian restaurant. I think it was Brazilian. There was that restaurant there, which anytime you went in there, there was a 99% chance you were the only person who was not a Hasidic Jew.
Mm-hmm.
It's outstanding.
Yep.
The Delk Powers Ferry area. Oh God. Well, we don't need more Paneras. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine for what it is. Don't take away good places for Panera.
Yeah, really, exactly.
I want something that actually tastes like something.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? There was other stuff on the table this morning. Oh,
did you watch Ted Lasso?
Oh, of course I did.
Oh, thank God.
I did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know who hasn't. We don't want to run spoilers out there, but
no.
Thoughts on it?
Yeah. The series season finale. All right. Well, let's bring Niko into the conversation. Niko Moreno is here at his old time slot. Early morning, first cup of coffee. How tall is the cup of coffee, Niko?
It was a 20 ounce. Now it is completely gone, and I'm going to be out here just no cup in hand.
Wow. Are you a Ted Lasso guy?
Yes, I am a Ted Lasso guy.
Have you seen the series finale?
Yes.
All right. So Jarrett is wondering what folks are thinking about the series finale. What did you think? Were you a sobbing mess like the rest of us?
Slightly emotional. I'm not sure if sobbing would be the correct word, but it was emotional. It was a nice roller coaster. I have to give credit to the ending. It did a good job in that final episode to kind of bring you up to high emotional levels. You kind of thought that Ted was going to stay for a little bit. You didn't know if he really was. Maybe he was going to change his mind, right? So I thought it was great. The soccer game in general was pretty cool. I love that they used the uh, set piece strategy that they had, kind of used a while back in the beginning of the show with the lifting of the arms. I'm right here. So I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it.
All right, Jarrett, what did you think about the series finale? So did he disappear on me?
No, I'm here.
Okay, so what'd you think? No spoilers. Okay,
no, we're not going to spoil it, you heathens.
No, but there's no spoilers.
Oh, oops.
Oh, you're fine.
No spoilers. Yeah, so
first of all, we on the East Coast are mad at Apple for pushing that thing back to 9 p.m. Pacific time. A bunch of watch parties got screwed up by that one, but I liked it. I'm fine if they just stop the whole thing there. It is an absolutely huge intellectual property at this point.
Oh my God!
They might decide to keep going in a different way with it, but it checked all the boxes. Yeah, and you don't. And I like that you don't have to literally spell every single thing out to check the boxes and to get everything across the line. But I enjoyed it, and I think y'all will too. If you're leaving right now to go watch it, that's fine. Will, whatever.
If I just ruined it, I'm sorry.
Rocket,
no.
Nah, you're good.
No.
Will, whatever high propulsion rocket you are building in the middle of Huntsville, possibly for that stadium, it can wait an hour and a half.
It can. All right. So the reason we bring Niko in on Thursdays is to discuss the week that was, and really it was last night that was. So we had last night. We've got the weekend coming up. And what we do for those that have not been watching Thursdays with Niko in 2023 is we have a game where the only thing missing is the long, slender Price is Right microphone. And we call it red light, yellow light, green light. And what we do with Niko is what team has the hood up, the engine drop, transmissions out all over the place? Who's got the red light for Niko? Yellow light can go one of two directions. It can be a team that is transforming itself from red light to green light, and they're kind of hanging out in the intersection trying to figure out what they need to do. Or it can be the other way. Team that was a green light heading toward a red light, and there it's like you better go to the mechanic and get your car fixed. Or basically, and then once again, green light is a team that is just blowing everybody out of the water. But the one condition that we have is that if you name the same team in back-to-back weeks, you've got to come up with a different reason for having them in that particular slot. So in this go-round of red light, yellow light, green light, where would you like to start, Niko?
How about we start with the red light team today?
All right, so who's your red light for this week?
All right, so red light's going to be interesting because they are coming from a win, and we are not going to beat the other dead horse that we've kind of talked about in the past with a team that continues to have some soap opera issues and now friends turning on friends, it seems, in Toronto, but we're going to go with the LA Galaxy. Okay. And that being because, look, it's very easy to just get a win and think that all is well, that Klein is out, and now everything's going to just change. But if you look at this RSL game, I continue to see a lot of the same things we've seen all season from these teams defensively. I thought that RSL could have very easily equalized that game. There's still struggles offensively. There was a couple of moments where, yes, fantastic shots mid-range and just things were going LA Galaxy's way for once, but it's only the third win of the season. They're still tied for 26 goals, most conceded in the Western Conference. They have the worst goal differential. So none of that has changed. And now we have a Douglas Costa situation that might be legal. He's already been like a zero, right, for this squad, a non-influential DP and just a big hole in your salary. But at the end of the day, you have a little bit of hope. Is he going to come back? Is he going to do something? At least to drag out some defenders and, do a little something for this team. Now that's gone. There's no light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the summer window. Javier Hernandez gets sent off last game, and there just seems to be no leadership, a big charade. Cáceres has been bad. Defensively in general, the team has struggled. So I just believe that this team is not off the red light group just because of one win. And I do believe that they're going to continue to struggle and they're going to stay at that basement. Even if Greg Vanney was to leave and other changes were to be made, I just think that the LA Galaxy season in a very competitive Western Conference is just not going to be enough to get into the playoffs.
Jarrett, give me a red light.
Oh, God. I didn't think you were going to ask me, Jesus. I have to pick somebody other than LAFC.
No, you could just pick a different reason.
Or LA Galaxy, excuse me. LAFC's not a red light.
Well, after being down 2-0 early last night, they could have been a red light.
Hey, man, LAFC's not a red light. LAFC just, skipped through. If you ever watched MXC back in the old days of Spike TV, where, you had to run across the stones that kept, sinking and not smash your face? Yep. That's LAFC. They got across last night. They smashed their face once or twice, but it could have been a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's the Galaxy for a red light because it's even. And you started the healing process with Chris Klein gone. The catch is you have to make a good hire after that. It is a multi-part process. Getting rid of the person who you think is responsible for everything is only part one.
Yep.
If you screw up this next hire, it doesn't get you, this alone does not get you out of jail. You actually have to get the next hires correct.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a new GM bounce.
Yeah,
I guess this is what you would call it, but
that'd be a first.
Yeah, man, it would be.
Niko, who's your yellow light this week?
All right. So, I could go East Coast with the New York Red Bulls teams that I've started to really like what they're doing. They're solid defensively. They just were able to grind out a win at Fort Lauderdale. But because I'm your West Coast guy, I'm going to give you a very yellow team. They're as yellow as it gets. And it is the Whitecaps. Okay. The Vancouver Whitecaps have been upgraded to the yellow on my end. And they're as yellow as it goes, right? They've won 3 of their last 6. They've had some really good performances, some really bad ones. Yesterday, they scored in 15 seconds, fastest goal in franchise history. Things go their way. But then you see a little bit of the bad. You see Brown, I don't know what he was doing, trying to dive for the ball when he could have been a very easy clearance. There's, I think, issues with the goalkeeper. I think that the midfield has been good. I think Cubas, former Talleres, former Boca Juniors, has been very solid just distributing the ball, regardless of who's in front of him, right? Gold, Vite, sometimes Caicedo. He finds lanes, finds people in between spaces. But again, this is another team that we still don't really know what we're going to get out of them. And I really do believe that they're running on pure energy and opportunistic situations. But when it comes down to the nitty and gritty, I still need to see more from this Vancouver team in general. There's talent, right? There's potential. Sergio Cordova coming off the bench, Caicedo coming off the bench. It seems like they're starting to kind of get some momentum, and you could see where this could be a team that right now they're 8th, right, in the Western Conference. Maybe they stay around those positions to get a ticket to the playoffs, and then from there on, anything can happen.
Jarrett, who's your yellow light this week? And remember, you can go in either direction, red toward green or green toward red.
I'm going to take Sporting Kansas City going towards a green light. Tentatively, it's nothing set in stone with Sporting Kansas City, but my God, it's better than early in the season where after 4 weeks at one point, they had more red cards than they did goals scored. It was as bad as you could possibly have written the start to a season. They get the win against Dallas last night. Excuse me. They've started stringing together better performances. Not all of them are wins. Had some losses. You have whatever the hell that was against St. Louis, but Pierre Verme needs to stabilize the ship. It's not righted, but you ain't a red light anymore. Moving in the right direction. And you know what? You're not Inter Miami.
Oh God, yeah. So should we just go ahead, Niko, and say that that's your red light?
Inter Miami?
Yeah.
I mean, that I think the Galaxy is still in worse position. Look, Inter Miami, yes, they are not looking good. There's dysfunction. I still think that the Joseph Martinez thing was interesting, but you kind of knew that you didn't know what you were going to get out of it. But there's potential there, at least. I mean, Leandro Campana is a very good scorer when healthy. I do like this new center back pairings that Phil Neville has today. Obviously, the midfield is struggling with all the injuries that happened, but there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, right? There's a summer window that's coming up. You got Chris Henderson with all his connections, all his wisdom, and he's going to be able to go ahead and get somebody, whether it's Messi or whoever it is that they're looking to get, right? I mean, it could be Bernardeschi for all we know, but it's at the end of the day, anytime that you have a Chris Henderson, you have some money, and you have the possibility to bring guys in, I still tend to, have a little hope for them. Right now, yep, they're probably red at the moment, but you at least see the possibility for a little orange, a little yellow. They've had some performances in which they generate a lot of the transition. And, if it's not Phil Neville just tinkering way too much with things or injuries coming to this squad, but they're up there. I still have them a little higher than the LA Galaxy.
Then who's your green light this week?
Green light's an interesting one, right? Because all arrows point to Cincinnati, right? I mean, this is a team that has 7 straight wins in all competitions. They seem to do it all right. All-stars all over the field. Barral with a beautiful free kick yesterday just adds on to a phenomenal season for him. Lucho Acosta on his birthday puts one away, top right corner. Just as a team that's very solid. Mosquera, I think, has been phenomenal. He has my vote for defender, best 11 for the MLS All-Star game alongside Yemar Gomez Andrade. So this is a very good team. However, I am going to go with Nashville. I think Nashville proved that even without Zimmerman, that identity that I talk about all the time, and a Gary Smith that just, we've talked about it, right? He's a coach, and this is a franchise that maybe could get a little bit further up, but just this game against a very good Columbus team, and Hani Mukhtar just disrespectful all game long, including that last goal where he kind of just waits on the defender, then puts him on skates, then puts it away. I mean, this is a team that, again,
he murdered Aiden Morris. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so good in general what they were able to do in transition moments. You got so many experienced guys in McCarthy and Godoy and, Mukhtar himself, and then Simmer when he comes back. It's just a really good balanced roster. And the fact that they were able to beat a team like Columbus without a guy like Zimmerman was huge to me. And now, obviously, they don't have a midweek game. They come in rested for this weekend. So they're my green team just to get away from the easy layup, which would be Cincinnati.
Jared, who's your green light this week?
I'm going to go with Cincinnati because, Niko, I have a vendetta against Nashville. I don't like them. It's almost personal at this point. The rivalry is real. Also, I like teams that like the ball more personally, but Gary Smith has ingrained that identity.
Jared, you got a problem with teams that don't like the ball.
All right, Gary, go away. The thing, man, they answered to your point though about Nashville. They answered my question this year was who was going to score goals. they've been getting it from different places. And Jacob Schaffelberg's a damn revelation and the perfect fit for that team late in games when you need somebody to run with Hani Mukhtar, who's the best player in this league on the counter. But man, I'm gonna take Cincinnati, even though it's kind of the layup answer, just because I kept waiting for them to kind of, I don't know, stabilize in a negative direction and pick up some more draws, but they just kind of keep getting jobs done. Last night they did it against a yellow light candidate in New York City that's just kind of been floating on along here, and the ballast doesn't seem to know how to retain or drop water, and Cincinnati just keeps getting the job done. And you moved out Brenner, who was your most expensive signing, who was supposed to be your centerpiece, and you have not missed a beat. You have somehow been better than what you did last year. It is an inconceivable 2-year turnaround in Cincinnati.
It is.
I agree.
It is. Absolutely, it is. It's inconceivable.
And they're 8 points above any team for the Shield. So, man, I mean, that's a really, really good stat for a team that, like you said, has been able to get away from a guy like Brenner and hasn't lost a beat.
Folks have been asking since this is a welcome return to your old time slot. There's a team in the Eastern Conference right now that's 5th. They are a win out of getting into the top 4, hanging around with Philadelphia. Had a crazy one last night. Right now, they're 5th in the East. What do you make of what you've seen from Atlanta United so far this season?
Wow, there you go. That's what I think. That's exactly what I think. My whole computer fell over here, but
it fell apart at the very end.
It fell apart at the very end. No, I think it's shaky, unstable. It could fall anytime, just like that computer just did. That's what I see out of Atlanta. I really do not like how easy it is for this Atlanta team to start off with the wrong foot, and it's self-inflicted wounds, and it's inability to track runners, and it's Gusan just taking bad decisions coming up the back, or Purata coming at the back, or Abraham walking at the back. It seems like all season long, whether it was in Open Cup where they got eliminated, whether it was in MLS, regardless of the players that are in that back line, there's just issues. That midfield's been really soft defensively, something that I never thought I would see from a Gonzalo Pineda team that just relies on having those guys that are going to not just regain the ball and track it back, but also distribute it, hold it. I was not happy with that New England Revolution game. Yes, it's fantastic you're able to get back at it, but once again, you're relying on individual performances, right? You're relying on a fantastic move by Gigi to kind of put something away. Then Almada just taking on his ability to just move away from the ball, creates his own space, and then put one away. So it just seems like they're just so reliant. That the lack of collectiveness when it comes to staying in games, controlling the tempo, controlling the pace, and being able to really make things easy for you is what I see from this Atlanta team. So I just want to see more consistency from them because they have enough to do so. So long story short, they're a very yellow team as well because you just don't know where you might see from them week in, week out. And sometimes it's so bad that just like yesterday, you go down so early, so easy. And yes, you have the guns, you have the talent to just get back into games, but that's not what Gonzalo wants to do. I guarantee you that. And that's not what makes a championship team. You don't want to go toe-to-toe Mexican boxing style, Morales against Marquez in the middle of the ring, just exchanging blows. That's not what you want to do. You want to be able to really control the game, and that's what Atlanta has not been able to do.
Four-Card asks you, do you have faith in Gonzalo Pineda as the manager for Atlanta United?
100%. I do. I absolutely do. I think that things are going to get figured out. At times, it just seems like maybe is the guys that you're rolling with, right? Because Purata is one of those guys that, yes, there was a Gonzalo guy that you brought in, but what he does great offensively and what he does great at times defensively, it just all goes away with moments of uh, insecure play and inability to read the runners coming in. And so I really do think that this is a personnel issue. It is something that Gonzalo Pineda, as a newer head coach, is going to have to understand, how at times you can plan something and then the lack of execution is going to have to change. So, yes, I think that he's not just enough of a strategist, but I think he's more than willing to understand that there's things that he needs to get better at. And one of those things is just realizing what it is that players need to execute his plan better. So I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to figure it out with this team and in general for the future.
Jarrett, go for it with Niko Moreno.
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask about the team close to you, because a lot of times I'm able to stay up late to see the results. But what's going on in Seattle? I mean, it's a team that we are always expecting to just, I don't know, it almost feels like they can flip a switch and stabilize things. And it doesn't matter if it's, like, in the past it's been, playing the kids at times, mixing things up, finding a way. Like, what's just not clicking for them right now?
I just think that there's been missing pieces.
Okay.
There are certain players that are fundamental and crucial to teams that have a style of play, that have a very profound and deep ingrinded way of either creating offensive movements, defending with the active defending that happens here in Seattle. The 4-2-3-1 can really be difficult to maintain when you don't have certain pieces, especially out wide, that can press adequately the way the team did earlier this season. When you're able to understand that if you're in attack and now you are playing more like a 3-5-2, where you need to be, you have inconsistent players like Leo Chu that maybe they give you 3 or 4 great opportunities, but then there's also 5 or 6 miscues. You saw that last night. So it's just been the rotating factor, right? So these teams only had their best starting 11 one time this season. Christian Roldan has been out. Jordan Morris now out. Ovid Vargas has been with the U20 national team. There's been Nuhu that had malaria. So there's been just so many missing pieces. Raul Ruidiaz has barely played this season. So to your point, I think that maybe you're starting to see that there is a need for a generational change, because those pillars that made you a team that could turn it on, turn it off at any moment, and you can go from being a mid-table team to a Champions League winner, CONCACAF Champions League winner, are those pillars. It is the Nikos, it is the Rauls, and those are players that right now, they're not just at the end of their contract, but they're starting to maybe lose a step. So I do believe that this team has enough, especially this year. I think Raul yesterday got into excellent positions. He was rusty. That's obvious. He hasn't played since April, I believe, at Portland. That's a lot of games that you missed. That's 7 games, MLS-wise, 9 all competitions. And he got into great positions. He just wasn't able to be that killer, that monster in front of goal. But that's going to get assorted. Christian Roldan will be back this Saturday. That is the huge part of what you do in general as a Sounders team. So I just believe that it has been the rotating changes, and all of that's going to get squared away here when those players start to come back.
I know that we have one game that I want to talk to you about coming up this weekend, because it's the only game that matters up there in the West. But we do have we need you to put your Garth Lagerwey hat on for the next question.
All right.
Katie Weaver, where do you think Garth's head is at with the Almada transfer value and the possibility, or is there a comparable situation with any player in the Seattle area that was as transformative as Thiago Almada was, that was sold outbound? So what do you think? Where do you think Garth's head is at when it comes to Thiago Almada's transfer value and the possibility of a transfer? And is there a comparable situation with any Sounders player that you've covered in the past in the Seattle era?
That's a fantastic question. Let's start with the easier one, which is where Garth's head is at in terms of that transfer. Garth Lagerwey is a winner. He wants to make sure that he's not just selling Thiago and getting a big chunk of money. He's thinking, hey, I'm still fifth in the East. I have a team that relies consistently in this player. So where is the balance and the pros and cons of me selling a player that probably obviously wants to go, that is gonna get me a record transfer fee, and where is that gonna leave me as a club, right? Because if I don't have a guy that's gonna come in and do Thiago Almada's things, then I'm gonna be in a terrible position. I'm gonna be thinking maybe about next season, and that's not Garth Lagerwey's way. Yes, he's a planner for the future. He's a guy thinking 5 years ahead, but he wants to win now, especially with this team. So I do believe that he's thinking about potentially trying to keep the player, and I'm not sure if it would be something in the lines of into next season we're going to go ahead and give him out, or we're going to just find a way to just keep him this season. Because Garth Lagerwey is someone that wants to make immediate impact. You've heard and seen the interviews that he's done so far with Atlanta United. I don't see him being someone that's just going to take the money and run, take the money and leave the team struggling. And he understands how difficult it is to adapt to the league. That's something that he did here in Seattle for many, many years. He wanted to create a group that was going to stay together. So I think in this particular season, he's thinking about maybe trying to keep him, unless it's an undeniable offer that you just have to take, right? It's just going to be something that's going to be unreal. And maybe he definitely has somebody in mind to come in and do those things, but I guarantee you that he's thinking, I have no assurances that X player is going to come in and give me this sort of productivity with this Atlanta team.
And then a question from Kefsi, how is Gonzalo Pineda when it comes to inverted wingers? Does he like that? Does he like inverted wingers?
Yes, he does like inverted wingers, and you've seen it this season. He likes to give sometimes the ability of a player that's going to cut inside and take shots, right? Especially when maybe there isn't a solidified nine. So maybe with Gigi, he's going to want to have more of a natural right-footed winger and left winger. But if a guy like Gigi's not there, maybe it's Miguel Berry or anybody else, where there's going to be opportunities that those are going to be able to be interchangeable. Then he's going to do that. He did it here, obviously, with Jordan Morris. He was an inverted winger at the top of Garth Lagerwey reign and success, right? He's the guy playing on the left side, but that he's clearly a righty player. He's gotten better over the years with the left foot, but he was an inverted winger. So the easy one is yes. The other question that you guys had, is there any player that can be compared to the Thiago Almada? No, there just isn't. Seattle is not a team that is known for bringing in young foreign players, not just South American, but in general, to sell them, right? That's just not the way things were put together here in the Pacific Northwest. And if there's something that I think Garth does well, is adapting to certain philosophies of the club. And in that mindset, there's no player that had any sort of potential or value of a Thiago Almada.
One more question before you go, and thanks again for coming back in your original time slot. It feels like old times having you in here with the first cup of coffee.
Yeah, we might have to start it up again. Yeah,
we ain't going nowhere, brother. So if you wanna come back on 10:30s on Thursday, like always, since it's the off season for school, you are welcome in at any time. You want to come back at 10:30 Eastern.
All right.
We always like to preview the weekend ahead, but there's one game One game that I think engulfs the entire Cascadia region this weekend. And you might know this one because it's happened a couple times, and there are two teams that really don't like each other. 4:30 Saturday afternoon, 1:30 Pacific time. Portland and Seattle, Cascadia, again. Seattle is a minus 169 in the juice boxes. Your draw in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, is a plus 315, and Portland is a plus 426. What say you, Niko Moreno?
Tough game, obviously, not just because of what it means to the Seattle Sounders coming in from a frustrating loss in a game that you had an XG of almost 3 and you weren't able to put one goal in. They completely dominated the pace of game. They were all over a San Jose team that, with Luchi Gonzalez at hand, just understands and knows how to read moments, and they frustrated the team. There was also a little bit of rust, a little bit of unlucky moments, and what I've been saying this whole time, which is that last pass, those last moments just have not been as precise. Into this game, Portland's had the number of the Seattle Sounders for ever since Gio Tavares took over that team. In the last 3 games, they've outscored Seattle 9 goals to 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's unreal. That is just a crazy number for a team that has the ability to, I don't know, raise the roof for those games. But that's been the issue. Brian Smith, the last time they lost at Portland, a game that they were winning early, a game that at the time I blame Brian for getting a little too greedy, went for that second goal instead of locking it down. Asprilla does a bicycle kick, and it's all history from there. So if there's something that Seattle hasn't been able to do, is come to this game with that mentality of this is a Clásico. We're going to have to be different. We're going to have to be chippy and physical, and we're going to make it grindy and nasty. I think part of that, and that's just my opinion and something that Brian completely denied, is the fact that Seattle has been globally successful for the past 6 years, and Portland hasn't. So I don't know if at times Seattle just didn't feel like they needed to come into this game with a certain type of mentality, but Portland certainly does. And Portland wants to make sure that they rub it in your face. And last time when you hung up that banner with the CCL championship and all of that, they made you look silly. So Brian barely talked about it yesterday. We tried to get a little bit of something about it. He said, it's not about me thinking that this game is big. It's about them. It's about the players. They need to make sure that they come in and realize that this is a do or die, regardless of where we are, regardless of what's going on. So this is going to be a tough game because of what's going on both ends, injuries on both sides, inconsistencies on both sides. Regardless of Seattle being top of the West, I think this is going to be a draw. That's going to be my theory onto this game. I think that whether it's a 1-1, a 0-0, this game is going to end up in a draw, and that's going to be a big thing for Seattle because they've been unable to even tickle this Portland team over the past few seasons.
At a plus 315, that is where Niko's head lies at 4:30 Eastern time Saturday afternoon on Cascadia, Portland visiting Seattle. What's going on at Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports?
Soccer Bar, Pulso Sports. We just had a fantastic interview with Miguel Traujo after yesterday's game. We talked to him about, obviously, the win in Seattle, but also his visit from Juan Reynoso, Peruvian national team coach, what's ahead for him as a potential call-up in the friendlies that are coming up against, I believe, Japan and Korea. So that's a real good one. We're going to have that up here by this afternoon. Soccer Bar today at 1 p.m. West, so Pacific time. So check that out. It's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about everything that happened midweek. We're going to talk about, obviously, LAFC. What are their chances? And we're going to have a really, really good interview with Christian Espinoza that also talked to us last night. Obviously, having a almost MVP season, great, fantastic player for San Jose. So really, really a couple of good things on both Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports.
El Rolo at El Rolo NW, at Sports Pulso, at the Soccer Bar. Niko, it's great to have you back on Thursday morning, my friend. Go get that second cup of coffee, and we will catch up with you next time.
Sounds good, boss. Thank you, guys.
Be good.
Thanks, man.
Niko Moreno. All right. Now, Jarrett, question is, in our production chain, a story has come out. And
I'm not happy about it.
Well, is it worthy of the Sounder? Is that where we're going with this?
We are. We can just talk about it. Like,
well, I mean,
we don't need the Sounder for it yet because I don't know the sourcing if it's good or not.
Also, the 3-letter Scottish paper, and we always take the 3-letter paper at its own.
The Scottish one's a little bit better than the English one.
Okay.
The Scottish paper, the Scottish 3-letter paper, is reporting that Tottenham is set to make Ange Postecoglou their new manager, with announcement imminent.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah, we'll hang on to that information. We're probably going to have, because it was a very busy day today, we're probably going to have a special back page coming up later this afternoon, because there's news out of Everton, news out of Leeds. It's kind of weird and creepy. So there's news in the Premier League, news about transfers, news about other stuff going on. What else is on your mind before we go?
Get ready for this. Get ready for a fun weekend and enjoy the weekend, because Atlanta United doesn't play, so you have nothing to be anxious about or nervous about. Should be a fun weekend of games. You have some rivalries. You have the second leg of CONCACAF Champions League final. It should be a damn enjoyable time, and you don't have to worry about anything until next Wednesday. So no reason to be upset. There's no reason to be stressed.
So there's all of that.
Live your life.
Yeah. So it was. Thanks for everybody who chimed in this morning. Jared, thanks for hanging out for the full show. I'm glad that the real
that wasn't the plan, but it happened because we started talking about college football, and then
I'm glad the real world did not intervene as it traditionally does in 1 hour.
Yeah, it usually does. That's fine. I got an early start on everything, so
yeah,
I had a schedule for a lot of stuff anyway. So
Katie is correct. The U20s do play. Let's get into viewing habits before we go, just so we know where everything is. U20 World Cup round of 16 on Telemundo at 1:30 and 5. Gambia, Uruguay, Ecuador, South Korea. Golazo Network has your playoff at 3 o'clock between Partick Thistle and Ross County. They also have the Argentine Primera at 7 and 8:30. Sarmiento and Newell's, Arsenal and Boca Juniors. The Plus has Stuttgart and Hamburg, the promotion relegation playoff in the Bundesliga at 2:45. Fox Soccer Plus is your simulcast for the U20 round of 16. And once again, Paramount Plus is your simulcast for what you see on Golazo Network. So it is a pretty decent day for just catching your breath after a late night in a bunch of different fronts. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. Normal show tomorrow will be on at 9 because we have conference calls with coaches at 11 involving Atlanta United 2. We'll catch up with Steve Cook and get prepared for the broadcast on the weekend. 9 o'clock start, normal half hour, 9:30 Beyond Goals. It should be Michael Parker's this time. And then 10 o'clock, Weekend Whipper on patent pending trademark coming sooner rather than later. No Atlanta United to talk about. And so we'll talk about the other news of the morning there as well as we end up. The NPSL Southeast show will be out tomorrow as well, catching up on the interviews that will include 5 good minutes with Jared Smith talking about Apotheos. So we will catch up with him on that. And the NPSL Southeast show is going to be posted on Friday as we get ready for another weekend in the NPSL Southeast. So, Bam, glad you could hang with us for the entire show after having survived an afternoon watching CONCACAF Champions League. Jarrett, if you would please, sir, send us home.
Mucho platio.
What he said. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Back at it again, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.